Hi knitters, Denise here again. I wanted to show you a few things that I discovered this morning in my knitting. Now I'm working on the Autumn Fair Isle sweater, which is a cover sweater from Sweaters from Camp from Schoolhouse Press. It's a lovely design and it's been in my queue for a long time and I finally got around to it. I'm going to move that out of the way and show you what I encountered this morning. Last night I had been knitting and wanted to get to the end of the round, and so I worked this round with the bright orange 125 shade and the blue into the steek zone, so I knew I'd be ready this morning to pick up, change colors, and do a brand new round. I was knitting my entire round and got here and realized things didn't line up nicely. Now, you can see that here I had 5 blues on the previous round in the middle of that V. And the new round that I'm knitting ends up with 1 red right in the middle of those 5 blues and 3 blues flanking it. And here, the part of the chart I'm going into, there need to be 5 blues right there. All of those should be navy blue stitches, and they're not. So what I do want to show you is not only how to fix that, but if you make a mistake, it's your decision on whether to fix it or live with it. If you look at this period chart here, this small band of oxos, you can see that the first and last round of the X there are a lighter shade of gray than the center ground, which is a medium gray. That is as it should be. Well, when I was knitting this chart, again, I started with the lighter gray, but forgot to switch to the light gray again after completing my middle gray in the center of the chart. Now, I could go back all the way to here and fix those, but I honestly don't think it's terribly noticeable, so I decided, I'll live with it. That's not a big problem. This, however, these 5 stitches are out of order. So now I'm going to fix them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all of these stitches up to my end of round marker. And this is my steek zone, so as long as I take those out and get them correct, I'm good to go. Now, I'm working with Jamieson Smith Shetland Weight Jumper Wool, and it's a nice sticky wool. So what I'm going to do is pull all of those last stitches off the needle. Now, for those of you who think that that's a little bit scary, you'll notice that those stitches aren't going anywhere. The loops are just sitting there. I'm going to use a long double point needle. This is usually a needle I use when I'm working with my knitting belt, but it comes in handy for this as well. I pulled out the blue. Now I need to pull out the orange. So here we go. And those are off the needle, and I've got a good bit of the orange 125 and the navy blue hanging in the back, and I'm going to simply grab all of those stitches, put them back on the needle, and I'll be back here in just a minute. Hi everyone, I'm back with all of my stitches from the row below the mistake on the left hand needle. Now I've got the orange 125 and the navy blue hanging here, and that's the yarn I'm going to use to work with. I don't want to knit with this yarn. It's the correct row that will come after. So I've just, to use it as something of a marker, I've pulled those yarns forward to keep them out of my way. Now what I want are 5 blue stitches, and that will set up my pattern going nicely. Usually I work with one color held in each hand. But I don't have a lot of yarn to work with here, so I'm not doing that this time. That's 4, and here's my 5th. And so now I'm going to reach down below, carefully pulling that orange up from below. And again, I want to make sure that I pull that orange from the proper position. I'm back to 3 blues again. It's a little bit fiddly, but it's not nearly as irritating as if I took the entire round that I had just knitted out. So this will save me a little bit of time in the long run. And I need an orange stitch, and I'm going to pull that up, just about the right amount of yarn available. And now I'm back to my steek. I'm going to put that marker here, which was my end around marker, let go of my long double point, and I'm going to shift those stitches back into position. If I've oriented any of them wrong by picking them up incorrectly, I can just twist them, get them where they need to go. And I want to come back to these two, so I'm moving all of these stitches. All right, now I know that these two need to go back. Shift things around a little bit, and now I can knit again. So I want to have 3 on the current round, 3 blues. I'm going to drop 1 red right there in the middle and see that it lines up with this stitch down here, just as it did here. And now I can go ahead and finish out my repeat. And now I'm back to my end around marker. I'm going to anchor that with 1 stitch beyond the marker, and look at here, it turned out beautifully. One of the ways to know you're back on track in a colorwork pattern, if it's a well-written pattern, you can see my beginning of round marker, there are 3 blues here. The end of my round, there are 3 blues here before my marker. Everything is balanced and in a good place. Correct an error in Fair Isle Knitting.